Yeah.
So I'm going to buy a lot of houses. I'll buy somewhere between 30 and 80 single family homes over the next 3 years or 4 years.
No big deal.
No big deal. And I will then do 1031 exchanges sometime in the next decade, and my portfolio will go from 180 to 300 or 400.
When I decided to actually do this whole real estate thing myself, and for those who don't
Mhm.
know, I actually just closed on my second property today, this morning. Thank you. Using the principles that I learned in this book, which I have read twice. Okay, it's true, and I watch Mike's channel every single day. His financial updates, his expert series, and things like that. He has good information. But what I did in hindsight, right after I bought my first one, was say, how did I do this? Okay, number one, I had to have a job because I
Yep.
had to prove to the banks that I could bring in income consistently. Number
Hmm.
two, I had to have good to excellent credit because I had to
Yep.
prove to the bank that I would pay back money. Number three, I had to save enough money to have a down payment. And then the other two things are kind of emotional things. You have to have the drive, the motivation, the determination to actually start something and see it through.
Hmm.
And then finally, I had to have the knowledge because a lot of people are afraid to get started. And I think the antidote for fear is knowledge. If you believe enough and if you know enough, then you'll be brave enough to take action. Whereas
Hmm.
before there was too much uncertainty and doubt, and you won't take action. So I wanted to go through these and cover them. We kind of already talked about the job,
Okay.
but for people out there who don't have good credit, what would you recommend that they do?
Well, you need to work on that, because one of the things you will realize when you're real estate investing is the biggest variable you have is cost of capital,
Right.
right? So, right, it is possible to get loans with bad credit, but you're going to be paying ridiculously high interest rates. You're going to have to come in with more down, right? Where somebody with good credit may get 20% down and a 4% loan. If you have bad credit, maybe you have to do 50% down and you're going to get charged 7% interest, right?
Right.
The better your credit is, the cheaper your debt is. And why is that important? Because if you're following one rental at a time, your goal is cash flow.
Mhm.
And again, the biggest variable every month is debt. So the better your credit, the cheaper the debt, the more cash flow. It really is that simple.
And is there any tips on how to improve their credit or make it better?
There's a lot of people out there selling those things. I would just tell you to pay your bills on time. Dave Ramsey is someone that I think has horrible real estate investing advice,
Yes.
but his snowball and his talk about expensive credit card debt works,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
I think that is decent material.
Mm.
But his advice on real estate investing is harmful, frankly.
Yeah, yes, it's it's pretty bad, honestly.
It's horrible.
I found Dave when I was an 18-year-old kid, and his advice kept me out of any trouble, kept me out of
Yeah,
getting a credit card and overspending or buying that new car because I can afford it, right?
yeah,
That was all good.
yeah, yeah,
But he's on the method of put like 30% down on your rental, pay it off 100%. It's like, well, now you've tied up all this money in something that you didn't need to.
hmm,
Yeah, so we'll skip that. Okay, so there's your ideas on credit. So then when it comes to saving the down payment, we kind of talked about that as well. Not inflating into your income.
yes,
As your income grows, don't grow your spending. Keep your spending low. Stay on the ramen noodles.
yeah,
Save that extra money and you'll have your down payment shortly, maybe a year or two, and you can buy that
yeah.
first property.
Or frankly, get a second job and bank 100% of that income. Again, I had
Yeah.
up to 3 jobs, right, at
Same
any one
here.
time, right? Bet if you want to really get this going, and you're 20 some years old or a teenager, get 2 jobs. Have one job pay your bills, and another job 100% of the income goes to a separate bank account, and that's all for investing.
Right.
You just have to choose. Are you just going to talk about doing it? Or are you going to freaking do something?
Right. Are you just going to watch that next YouTube video? Or are you actually going to take some
Yeah,
action?
come
Okay.
on.
So for the last two, which are kind of more hypotheticals, the drive, the motivation, the hustle, the grind, and then number five is knowledge. Probably those two things go together. What do you recommend for people how to instill within them the ability to, I guess, gain confidence and gain knowledge? Just talk about that for a
Well,
minute.
there's two things that I believe. First and foremost, I think about when I started, way back when. And again, I've said it on our first interview. Rich Dad Poor Dad changed my life.
Right.
It kind of changed my mindset. But it does a horrible job of creating belief, because I could not see myself in that, right? I
Mm,
was a 30-year-old guy. I had a growing family. I was already successful in my family's eyes because I
right.
got a college degree and I made 6 figures. But so there was nobody leading me this way. So that's why I wrote that book that's behind your left shoulder, One Rental at a Time, because I wanted to show people painstakingly detail the 15-year journey, all the mistakes, all the wins, how it all happened. So first and foremost, I think it's important to have belief, right? If you go on this journey, which will take years, and it may take a decade,
Right.
is it worth it? A lot of people can play with spreadsheets. A lot of people can put it out there and do the math. But unless you have belief and almost faith that it's going to work out, you're not going to get through the hard days. Real estate has lots of hard days. So that's why we wrote that book, One Rental at a Time, is just to be belief. Oh, look at this. He went through it. Oh my God, he had a bad day. Oh my God, he had a bad day. Oh, wow, look at that. His wife retired. Oh, look at that. He retired, right? So it does pay off. So that's the big one. I forget what the second question was. So belief was number one.
And then how do you create the knowledge? Like,
oh, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. One of the things, and it didn't hit me until after I left, right? Which is, after doing this for 15 years, what makes me unique is I look at my market every day.
Right.
I still do it. It's been almost 20 years. I look every day, probably twice a day now, because I can tell you what's going on, right? If you watch my channel, you will see me change what I'm saying is going on, right? 2 months ago, I was like, ooh, people, be careful. This forbearance thing is going to freaking crush people.
Right.
And then over a couple of months, they change it. And now it's like, oh, non-event. They're going to make it a second. It's zero interest, not due till the end. Non-event.
Yeah.
And then I come out last Sunday and I go, my goodness, look at how low supply is. What is this? Oh my God, demand went up 50%. Folks, be careful. It's about to get expensive. Right. So again, I talk about it. I look every day. The best way is to feel confident is to do the work. And you took the course. What I tell you, do the freaking work. Look every day. Look every day.
Yep.
Don't come to me and say, oh my God, I looked 3 days in a row. I don't know what's going on. Stop it. You don't talk to me until it's been 30 or 45 days.
Right. Exactly.
Do the work.
Okay. And that's good. Cause I think a lot, like I said, the main inhibitions, I have one of my supervisors at my job told me he watches my YouTube channel, and I was like, no way, that's cool. And I keep recommending him to you because you're much more experienced and better. And I don't know if he's watched it or not, but he is currently sitting on like a home equity loan of a few $100,000. And he's just kind of in that analysis paralysis period where he knows he wants to buy maybe a small apartment building or something like that. But he just can't get over the hump or take the action. And really, I think what would cure his fear is if he just did what you said, which is look at the market, look at the market, look at the market. Because all of a sudden, one day, he's going to see that deal that's so much better than everything else, and it won't be he won't have to talk himself into it. He's going to say, I can't miss this opportunity, which is how I bought this duplex.
That is exactly what the course is all about. It's okay, because I can't tell you how many people I have in my circle of influence that come from software and technology, right? They could have IPOs, they could have ours. There are people in my network that come into hundreds of thousands of dollars sporadically. And when they come to me, they're like vibrating, like, I got to invest this, I got to spend it. I'm like, whoa,
slow down.
Stop. You haven't even looked at the market yet. You're going to go look at somebody followed me to Fresno, and I made an introduction, and he went down Saturday and he came back. So he spent the night, he came back Sunday and he bought 3 houses. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You haven't even looked. I mean, you looked for like 24 hours. How do you know those are a deal?
Right.
Having money is often a problem. Do the work. What I would tell your boss or whoever that was, your contact, is you need to pick a market and you need to look for 75 days in a row.
Yeah.
And what we should look at day 30 and day 60 is, what have you learned? Right? Keep that equity line. Keep dry powder. You should have dry powder all the time, because one day you're going to go, oh my God, this deal is different.
Right.
This deal is different than everything I've seen. And it's magical when that light bulb goes off. But if you just sit there and you're like, oh, I'm interested. I'm interested. Come on.
It's hard to take action. Yeah.
Either that, or you're going to walk up to the craps or the roulette wheel and you're going to pick a number and see what happens.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's not going to work out.
Which I don't want to happen. Do the work. Do the work. Sure.
Okay, so when you finally, you said you got a little cocky, you bought yourself a nice car, but then at some point you decided, hey, I need to get serious about this. I need to stop inflating my income, and I'm going to put my freaking shoulder to the wheel push until you got to that point of retiring your wife and then yourself. So I want to know, what was the most lavish thing that you got for yourself, and at what point did you buy that? Like, in the last few years here?
So I'll answer, but I just want to make sure. So is this pre-starting? So am I a 30-year-old answering
No,
this,
no, no.
or
You're
whatever?
you're you now. So
Oh, oh.
you finally put your shoulder to the wheel. You worked those 15 years. You've got 150 units. You're almost ready to retire, or you're retired, and you're like, "That's it. I made it. I'm buying an island in the Florida Keys or something." Like, what'd you do?
Well, I bet there's a lot of things. Like when you do this and you get to the end, um, you can do some pretty special things for yourself and your family.
Hmm.
So first and foremost, we paid for our daughter's education, which was several $100,000. We just paid for it. That was cool. That was a big goal of mine when she was young. So we did that. She did choose. So she went to college, came back for a couple of years. She decided she wanted to make a go of it in New York uh, as an um, as an artist. So we went ahead and bought a condo or a townhouse for her cash, so she could live in. She pays us below market rent, but that was over $500,000. We cut a check for that. My wife got an updated kitchen, which again we sacrificed for 15 years and didn't touch anything in our house. We've now touched every room, and she got her chef's kitchen, which was very expensive. She is rocking a 5 carat diamond ring, which is very expensive. And I have a Mercedes SL 550 V8 twin turbo hardtop convertible, which is a 6-figure car. So um, we've done some nice things.
Okay, okay. Don't bring that Mercedes up here and drive it around here because I don't have to pull anybody over. All right, just tell me about the stories.
Yeah.
Um, okay, okay. So yeah, so you did eventually get your opportunity to live it up a little bit. All right,
Yep.
couple things left I want to chat about. You had the opportunity to interview Elena Cardone, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure most people know who Grant Cardone is. So this is Grant Cardone's wife.
Yep.
How did you get in contact with her? How did you set that up? And then what was your best takeaway from the interview?
So again, you should follow Elena Cardone. I actually think Elena Cardone is more interesting to follow than Grant.
Hmm,
Grant can
interesting.
go on all these weird tangents and you just never know where he's going.
Right,
And he has his
right.
on days and off days. Elena's always on. What's attracted me to Elena's story is um, she's a very powerful woman's force. And that's something that's always important to me. I was basically raised by my mom. My sister's in a bad situation. So it's just something that is always attracted to me. So I've been communicating with Elena Cardone via Instagram for 18 months.
Wow.
Just quick comments.
Really?
I'd done it enough, and then she would reply to most of mine,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we engaged that way. Then she talked about her book, and I reached out and said, "Hey, I want to check it out. Love to have it on my channel." And then she said, "Well, I get a question. I get this all the time. Work with one of her resources, and we got it done. We coordinated the questions, and she said yes. I do think this health crisis helped because
Stuck at
she was
home?
home, right? She was stuck at home.
Yeah.
So I don't. If this was a normal time, I don't think it ever happens. But the fact that she was stuck at home, and we had organized the communication, and I had proven to interact with her for well over a year, she said yes, and she was a pleasure to speak with. Um, my biggest takeaway from the conversation is she's as authentic as I was hoping she would be.
Cool.
Because I talked to her when we weren't recording,
Hmm.
and she was the same very genuine person. I liked her more after the interview than I did before, and I liked her before. She was very fun.
Yeah, I had always seen, some of her Instagram posts, and I never commented on one. And then one day I saw her posting, this is maybe a year or so ago, about how she thought, she was talking about firearms rights and Second Amendment rights. And I usually don't get that political. I just thought it was interesting to get her perspective on a hot topic issue when a lot of times
Yeah,
people strive away from that because they don't want to like, oh, let's not step on toes. So I just respected her for being proud enough to speak what she believes in, even if it
yeah,
maybe isn't popular. And
yeah,
I've followed her ever since, and that's why I see when you comment on her stuff. And I was like, I still, when she posted last night on Instagram a clip from your interview,
yeah.
and I thought it was your Instagram at first, and I was like, wait a minute, this is Elena's Instagram. What? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
I did not expect that. I did not expect it. To see that open up with that over my shoulder, I'm like,
yeah,
wow, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
That's not very nice. And I am sure she did that on purpose. She wanted to give me a little, a
Yeah.
little love. So I was greatly appreciated, Elena. Nice job.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Oh, the Flip Anything USA guy. Tom,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
He all of a sudden pops into my recommended videos like maybe 6 weeks ago tops, and I start watching him. First of all, he gives a lot of the same advice you do about knowing your market. He makes a lot of the same critiques about Grant and Kevin and Graham and all these guys that you do. I know that I don't know if I read it somewhere that you posted you wanted to get in contact with this guy to do an interview with him. What's going on with that?
Yeah. So I would love to interview him because again, I think what's happening in the YouTube universe is there's a couple of people that are built their reputation being YouTube real estate folks, and we all know who they are. They're now 600,000 and 2 million followers, and they're not real estate people. They're just not.
Right.
Their real estate advice is frankly damaging and bad for you. But they talk about stimulus and 20-cent iced coffees and whatever. But they're not real estate people. So one of the things I think we need to do is we need to get the channels that are around 10 to 40,000 that are really real estate investors like Tom. And we need to cross pollinate because we're really helping people. So I did an interview talking about him, or I shouldn't say an interview. I did a video applauding him because I've been trying to get out with him and he's blowing me off.
He's too busy.
Well, I don't know, dude. I've commented on his videos.
Okay.
I did a video kind of bringing him back. I think we need to do that, but he seems to, I think he is growing his channel. And let's be clear, he's bigger than I am now. Because he has decided to take on the attack people.
I think that definitely helps you grow.
Yeah, it helped me, right? I did a video on Grant and it got 40,000 views. When in my video it wasn't attack, it was like, here's really what's going on. But he's decided to do that, and I've gone away from it, right? If I name somebody in a video, it's 100% positive. Right. I decided to be a Gary V, right? I'm not going to tear somebody down. Right. Unless you do something really stupid like create a video you're going bankrupt. I mean, that was freaking dumb. If you do something really dumb, I'm going to call you out. But that doesn't happen very often. So I'm only going to build people up. So far he's blown me off, and he decides to just attack people, which is fine.
I did a video on analyzing all the people who called Grant Cardone out for making that video saying he was going bankrupt. And I put all of the main players in there. And then I said, the only person who called it right was you. And I put your little clip where you were like, this is dumb. There's no way he's going bankrupt. He's too big. They're going to work with him. This is all a PR stunt. I guarantee a day or two from now, he's going to come out and say, I gotcha. And then literally the rest of my video was him doing exactly that. I just thought it was funny. So there's another reason to follow Michael Zuber because he's smarter than these other guys who just jumped on the bait and just got caught in the trap.
Well, let's be clear. Some of these other guys, they're making $1 million a year creating nonsense videos.
I know.
I don't need the money. Yeah. I am here to legitimately help people.
Right.
I do not want to be a 29-year-old person making $1 million on YouTube. That doesn't float my boat. Right. If I wanted to make more money, I would stop doing YouTube and I would go do more real estate. I already know how to do that. Right? I am very comfortable living below my means, being the millionaire next door and helping people. My biggest goal in life is to reach down and pick people up. I do not need to go higher. And I battle this all the time. People come out to me all the time going, why aren't you going bigger? Why aren't you going bigger? Why don't you try to make $1 million a year? That doesn't motivate me. I don't care. It's not a thing for me.
That was one of my last two questions was, are you ever going to grow more? I know you've been doing for a while you were doing, I don't know if you still are, you were doing the turnkey properties. You were providing turnkey properties to other investors. Do you ever see yourself growing your portfolio substantially from what it is now, or just staying where you're at and continuing to do what you do, picking up the little guys?
So first and foremost, I will always be picking up the little guys. My goal is to help, is to create something that lasts for 100 years after I'm dead, right? So the book, the YouTube channel, and I want to help thousands of people get to 4 rentals. I believe most people get to 4, their life is fundamentally changed. So that's my North Star. But real estate's a thing for me. I'm never going to leave Fresno. That's a question I get all the time. I have no interest in creating risk by going to a new market. I am absolutely going to continue to grow my portfolio in Fresno. I tell everybody what I'm doing. What am I doing today? I am buying single family homes. Because if you read my book, you buy single family homes, they increase in value, and then you 1031 into apartments. Right. I think multifamilies are overpriced. I told you that in 2019. You all called me an idiot, but I look like a genius today. Because they're overpriced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to buy a lot of houses. I'll buy somewhere between 30 and 80 single family homes over the next 3 years or 4 years.
No big deal.
No big deal. And I will then do 1031 exchanges sometime in the next decade, and my portfolio will go from 180 to 300 or 400.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it'll be very measured. It'll be, it'll just be because I can. It's. I will never have employees. I will never go to another market. My priority is to help people, but I can't stop what I'm doing. I mean, what else would I do all day?
Yeah, no, exactly, right? Well, that's good to hear because, honestly, I made this comment in one of my videos how I think, at some point in the next few years here, with some of these YouTubers, these YouTube financial people becoming millions of subscribers, I think it's a very short time before we start seeing Fox News and CNBC and CNN bringing from YouTube this group of people on as financial advisors because they're the known. And I'm hoping that some of the more expert financial advisors such as yourself get brought into that as well, because there's definitely for the Graham Steffens and the Meet Kevins, they're expert entertainers. They know how to make a great video, but the advice so I'm hoping that maybe, and I still think your channel's going to hit 10K to 15K by the end of the year. I think it will. I think you're going to hit that exponential growth cycle here soon.
We'll see. I got a steak dinner on it for you.
Yes, exactly. But if I lose, that's fine. I'll pay out. That's fine. Last question. Are you going to ever write another book? Is there a sequel to One Rental at a Time?
I think there is.
Okay.
And if you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have said no, because writing for me is what's beyond painful. I mean, I'm an okay talker because I had to, because that's how you sell stuff, is you learn to speak. By the way, nobody's ever asked this, but my most valuable college course was my sophomore year at junior college, speech.
Oh, really? Okay, that makes sense.
By far, that course made me millions of dollars. Speech, to talk. Again, I went from being that little introvert hiding in a shell. So if I were to tell you one college course to do, it's speech.
Okay.
So nobody ever asks. But yeah, there will be a follow-on. I actually had a publisher reach out to me because I'm a self-published guy on Amazon, and the book is ticking up now.
Yeah, no, it is 200 reviews now, right?
Yeah,
and you're on Audible.
And on Audible, yeah, we're selling probably, I don't know, between all platforms, 10 books a day, which is really good for self-published.
Good.
So a book publisher reached out and said, "Hey, what would happen if you wrote another book and you had a whole marketing team behind you? Because I got nobody, right?"
Yeah, what would happen?
Yeah, so I sent him my book. I sent him 2 copies, actually. He got them. He's read them. We're going to be talking next Monday or Tuesday, and he's supposed to create a plan. So there probably will be a sequel, and it will be more how to do one rental at a time. Because one thing I get beaten up on by some folks is, you don't tell me how to do it. Well, that wasn't what the book was. The book was, here's a 15-year journey. Here's belief. Here's what worked, what didn't work. So if there is a sequel, it will be how to do one rental at a time. It will be a marriage of my story again, either some from the book, other ones that haven't been told. It'll be a marriage of the 75-day hard challenge, because all of that is really how I did it. So I would put it better than 50-50 that there'll be a sequel.
Cool. Yeah, and the how, that's called your YouTube channel, One Rental at a
exactly.
Time. If you want to know how, all you have to do is watch Mr. 4 videos a day right here. Like, seriously, experts and analysis and live streams late at night and all this other rant and Instagram. Yeah, if you want to know how, seriously, for those who have actually made it this far in this video, well done. Luckily, Mike's carried me through this interview pretty handily. Go to his YouTube channel, subscribe, so that hopefully he owes me a steak dinner if he makes it to 10K by the end of the year. And watch his videos, because there's not a lot of fluff. He says a lot of the same stuff over and over again, which is another complaint to see. Hey, you preach the same stuff. This is like playing sports. If you play basketball, you play soccer, right? You need to learn how to dribble the ball before you slam dunk, okay?
Yeah.
You have to dribble, you have to pass, you have to be able to do a layup. If you can't do those basic things, you will never be LeBron playing for the Lakers. It's just not going to happen. Or Steph Curry, because that's right, your team's Golden State Warriors, right? You're never going to be Steph Curry banging those threes from like 50 feet out, okay? Yeah. You have to dribble first. Mike, I'll let you go ahead and say one more thing, and then I'll close this out. Anything you want.
No, I love the fact that we did this for the young folks, 14 to 25. Again, you have the ability to do something special. You have some choices to make. No matter what people say, you need to work. You need to get an income. Uh, Again, there's nothing wrong with having 2 or 3 jobs at one time. You're at that age, go hustle,
Mm.
but you got to control your expenses. I call it playing good defense, live below your means, whatever you want to call it. That magic right there will set you up to be financially free before you're 30.
Mm.
And if you're able to do that, it'll take you years. So don't think this is a get rich quick or any of that stuff. You are at such a lucky point in your life when your expenses are low. And if you are able to get to be 25, 26 and have your expenses be close to what they were at 18, you can seriously be 100% financially free by 30. That should be your goal. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Mike, I appreciate you taking the time, carving it out of your schedule to come on and do an interview with me. Seriously, to anybody else out there, go watch his stuff. I know that I always jokingly say don't like or subscribe to me. I know I'm just kind of saying that as a joke, but seriously, there's people out there who have good information who are not trying to sell you stuff that you don't need or build false expectations. If you're a young person, you are susceptible to getting taken advantage of. And that's just the truth. People will take advantage of you. So watch Michael Zuber's channel. If you want to get his book, just go on Amazon, type the title in. You can get it. It's an easy read, but it has good information. Mike, I appreciate it, and I'm going to go ahead and end it.